You know that feeling when the alarm goes off and you lie there for a second, genuinely unsure what day it is, what time it is, whether you actually slept at all or just sort of marinated in the dark for 6 hours. And then you remember you've got a full day of actual responsibilities ahead of you, and you just sort of stare at the ceiling like it's personally done something to offend you. Yeah, that was me, most mornings for most of my 30s. I used to be quite proud of it, which is the embarrassing part, not sleeping much. I wore it like a badge. Busy man, lots on, doesn't need much sleep. I'd be at work at 8:30 having had 5 hours, third coffee already in hand, telling people I was fine, just a bit tired, in a voice that absolutely did not sound fine. I thought I was managing. I thought I was coping. Turns out I was just slowly running myself into the ground and calling it productivity. The thing I didn't understand then, and it took me an embarrassingly long time to actually get this, is that sleep isn't some optional extra you cash in when life gets quiet. It's not a reward for when the work is done. It's the base layer. It's the thing underneath everything else. Your mood, your patience, your ability to make a decent decision at 3 in the afternoon. All of it is running on what happened the night before. And if what happened the night before was 5 hours and half a bottle of red wine, then none of those things are going to work properly. Full stop. And I knew this. In the vague way you know most things you're not doing. The way you know you should drink more water, or that sitting hunched over a laptop for 11 hours probably isn't ideal. You know. You just don't act on it, because acting on it would require changing something, and changing things is annoying. Then, of course, the boys arrived. Which is, as any parent will tell you, a masterclass in what genuine sleep deprivation actually feels like. That first year, I remember standing in the kitchen at 2 in the morning, holding a bottle warmer, not sure I'd ever feel normal again. The kind of tired where you open the fridge and just stare at it for 40 seconds without remembering why. That kind of tired changes you. You stop being a person and you become a kind of warm, upright organism that occasionally makes decisions. And the thing I noticed during all of that was just how much worse I was at everything. Not dramatically worse, quietly worse. The kind of worse that's hard to point at. I was shorter with people. I'd make a small mistake at work and spend the rest of the day convinced I was terrible at my job. I'd eat a bag of crisps at 11 at night, not because I was hungry, but because my brain had completely run out of the ability to say no to anything. The appetite control thing is real. That's not just a thing people say. When you're sleep deprived, your brain actively makes worse food decisions. You reach for the biscuits because the bit of your brain that's supposed to manage that kind of impulse is basically off the clock. Which sounds manageable, and it is, for a bit. Then it's not. The thing that really got me, the moment I started taking this seriously, was a Sunday afternoon. Both boys were finally down for a nap. I'd been up since 5:30. I sat down on the sofa with a cup of tea and fell asleep in about 90 seconds. And when I woke up 20 minutes later, I felt briefly like a human being again. Just 20 minutes. And I thought, what have I been doing? What have I actually been doing to myself? So I started actually paying attention. Not in a scientific way, I'm not that organised. Just noticing. Noticing what made a good night worse. And the list, once I started looking at it honestly, was a bit grim. Late caffeine. I'd been having a coffee after dinner for years. Just a nice end of the evening thing. Turns out caffeine has a half-life of about 5 or 6 hours. So the coffee I had at 8:30 is still doing something to my brain at 2 in the morning. I thought it wasn't affecting me because I could still fall asleep. But there's falling asleep and there's actually sleeping. And they're not the same thing. Screens. The phone on the bedside table. Scrolling through nothing at 11:30 because my brain was too wired to switch off. Just lying in bed, watching short videos about things I had absolutely no interest in a sort of joyless loop. For 45 minutes. That's not relaxing. That's just postponing the night. The wine thing. 1 glass is fine, but the nights I had 2 or 3, I'd fall asleep quickly and then be wide awake at 3 in the morning, completely alert, brain churning, lying there thinking about something I said in a meeting in 2009. Alcohol doesn't help you sleep. It sedates you and then abandons you at about 3 a.m. like a terrible taxi driver. And stress. Just carrying the day's worries straight into the bedroom and expecting them to switch off because it was dark. Lying there with tomorrow's problems fully loaded, mental tabs open, running through scenarios that hadn't happened yet and probably never would. So that was going well. The thing that genuinely helped, and I want to be clear, this is not a revelation, this is quite boring advice, was just going to bed at roughly the same time every night. Not an exciting fix, not a gadget or a supplement or a regime, just consistency. Your body runs on a rhythm, and if you give it a consistent rhythm, same time down, same time up, more or less, it actually starts working with you instead of against you. Random catch-up sleep on weekends helps a bit, but it doesn't undo a week of chaos. The rhythm matters more than the hours a lot of the time. I started going to bed at 11 every night. Not because I was tired at first. I wasn't. I trained myself out of feeling properly tired, but because I decided to. And after about 2 weeks of that, something shifted. I started waking up before the alarm. Not bright and bounding, let's be realistic, but present, actually there, sitting on the edge of the bed at 6:30, without the usual feeling that I was being physically dragged back from unconsciousness. And here's the thing nobody tells you about decent sleep. It makes the next day's discipline so much easier. The willpower stuff. The making good choices stuff. When you've slept properly, the biscuit at 11 a.m. is just a biscuit. You can take it or leave it. When you're running on 5 hours, that same biscuit becomes a psychological event. You eat it because your brain is desperate for something, anything, to compensate for the depletion. Sleep is upstream of almost every other healthy habit. Sort the sleep, and the other things get easier. Don't sort it, and you're fighting everything uphill. That's not a metaphor. That's actually how it works. I think about this with the boys. They're at an age now where they fight bedtime like it's an injustice, like we're doing something to them, putting them to bed. They'll negotiate, they'll suddenly be desperate for a glass of water, they'll remember something very important they need to tell us about a Lego situation that absolutely cannot wait until morning. And we hold the line because we know. You can see it on their faces the next morning when they've had a good night versus when they haven't. The version of them that slept well is curious, funny, patient, willing to try things. The version that didn't is a small person carrying a very heavy, invisible weight around. And I think that's us too, just less obviously. The grown-up version of that tired, heavy-footed child is the man who snaps at his family over nothing, who can't concentrate at work, who sits in the car in the driveway for 5 minutes before going inside because he just needs a moment and can't work out why everything feels harder than it should. It's not always big stuff. It's often just sleep. I wish someone had told me earlier that protecting sleep isn't self-indulgent. It's not lazy. It's not opting out. It is maintenance. It is the least glamorous, least impressive, least Instagram-worthy habit you can build, and it will quietly improve almost everything else around it. Not overnight, not dramatically, but steadily, in the way that actually lasts. I'm not perfect at it. There are still nights I stay up too late watching something I don't even really want to watch, just because the house is quiet and that feels like the only time that belongs to me. I get that, I do, but I'm trying to be better at it, because the man I am when I'm rested, he's a better husband, a better dad, a bit more patient, a bit more present, and that version of me is worth going to bed for.